Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Zhao on the East-West Show with CNE TV. For quite some time, we have noticed, starting from 2010 or 11 whatsoever, people started to quote a word or phrase called mainstream media. Mainstream media is only a concept there. I don't know who is mainstream, who is not mainstream, but mainstream as a definition started to be used, I noticed, by the year of 2010, 2011. Why people do so? Because it is a symptom that started showing. Till today, we found out, or we're still finding out, that the mainstreams are leading this country to somewhere of no return. And that I feel sad about. Being one on the media front, I feel that number one, I don't want to copy what they do. And number two, it is incumbent on me, myself, to do it right. So that's why we are talking about it. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, director, a huge name with a huge credit in Hollywood for his well-known Mysterious China series with 18, gonna be 19 episodes. And he still writes. He's doing a feature film too, Body Talk. Body Talk is the one. And the peasant doctor is the other, right? Okay.
No, the village doctor.
The village doctor.
The barefoot doctor.
A barefoot, well, that term is confusing. I told you already.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the meantime, while doing his documentary, Huge Task, he had the privilege of going in and out archives, learning a lot of stuff, which is open to public, yet, well, not known to public. So one of them is the issue on this for the mainstream media. So today we're talking about it. I call him a fighter for justice.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fighter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, my friend.
How do you like my opening line?
Very good and very right, because the question is the media telling we the people what the billionaires want them to know?
Yes, that's a good question, but too big to answer. Because number one, we should want to make sure we the people, are we still we the people? That is one.
Increasingly becoming a question.
Yeah, we are, right? The definition itself is getting weaker and weaker because the whole Constitution was built based upon we the people. That's why it starts with we the people. Proudly would quote, unquote, for 100 million times already, yet we do not see we're getting more and more important. That's question number one. Question number two, versus with the fact that the value of we the people depreciating, we see a lot of mainstream media leading us to somewhere of at least I call it disasters. How do you comment on the whole picture, overall picture, please?
I think it's problematic today and increasingly difficult for ethical journalism. You see, journalism was built on telling the truth and telling the truth about those people.
Truth, only truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes. And that has changed because the media is too much controlled by corporate interests, in collusion with government interests, and the whole group of people who rules we the people, because we the people does not rule anymore. The concept usually before was we the people should rule, but now it's we the people are being ruled.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. I agree with the whole concept in basic. However, there's a little something to either correct or rephrase. Talking about government control, government has no will to control. It is by whom the government is controlled. It is those people, I call them interest group, well, controls the government, make the government control the mainstream, or they directly do it. Remember, I give you a good example, all right? Do you remember at the time, probably December of 2016, just 1 month prior, no, October 2016, just 1 month prior to winning the victory of Donald Trump said, quote unquote, if not quote unquote, precisely the meaning says, once I'm in office, first job, on day one, I'll put Hillary Clinton in jail for the email, whatever, whatsoever, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, now, have you heard anything talking about it ever after? No.
No.
Yeah, it is led somewhere else to some other issues. So why would that happen? Is that Donald Trump did not follow? Or is that Donald Trump changed his mind? Or there are bigger things? Or exactly the mainstream led the whole thing elsewhere?
I think there are other issues which have made this issue less interesting and no more relevant. And that's why, example, the media has concentrated on endlessly flaming the corporate media, demonizing President Putin. It is
You mean Putin in Russia?
Yeah, it's obviously a concentrated effort to discredit Russia at all costs.
Well, anyway, it is hard to say in one way. There are other routes leading to the same issue. There are people who say that at least somewhere 8 to 10 people of Donald Trump that had Russian connections, and they did meet each other, and the son-in-laws, stuff like that. So, and there are voices denying it. So I don't know where they're talking about. What they're talking about?
Yeah, but you meet a lot of people, and that does not mean that you constantly have to demonize one person or one nation. You see, a nation is a nation, and I don't want to go into this, but a very clear example of the mainstream failure to support a fellow journalist and truth teller is Julian Assange. This is obviously orchestrated by the powers to be, and the mainstream media has failed its responsibility to monitor the centers of power and report the truth to we the people.
Good point. I'm glad that you brought up Julian Assange to the table, because that's quite a vivid example to just to say what we have said right now. Point is that have we, lawfully find out what he had done to sabotage the country or not telling the truth? We can, from that point on, we can charge him. We can make him a felon. Am I right? Rather than using this media to, now here you're using the word that demonizing, to demonize him.
Yes, and he has done nothing other than being an investigative journalist, and demonizing him has made the slogan, freedom of the press, become a joke.
Yeah, he was made a lot of names, the traitor, or even worse, right? Or even worse, right? Now, but thing is that, why don't we activate the judicial system using justice as a tool to go through into an investigation to find out if he has done anything wrong, if there's any criminality. If it is not, the term freedom of press applies. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah. So we didn't do that way, right?
No.
And the main
Because there was no basis for it. Because the power and significance of investigative journalism is to uncover stories of people who have been ignored by the mainstream media or are left otherwise without a voice. That was the original mandate of freedom of the press.
But he was accused of treason, though.
Yeah, but there is no, if he's being accused, but so why has been no legal case made against him? Because there is no basis for it.
Here is a point. All right. Through international diplomatic whatever methods or channels, we can get almost anybody back to the country. Don't you think so?
Yes.
We can, right? And we have military forces to back it up.
Right.
Right. We can even capture him. We can even, pinpoint him and get the job done, right? If for the crimes he is accused for, which is true.
A little difficult to do it with England because that's not a third world country. And if you would go in there by the military and storm the Ecuadorian embassy to get him out, it would be an enormous scandal.
And then do it other ways. And then do it other ways. Because we, UK, we're allies, right? We can negotiate. We can friendly have him handed over to the United States, such as in Hong Kong, such as in Ecuador. So we can still do the same thing. Why? The fact he is still there running like a free dog, that might indicate that we do not have anything on hand to make him a felon.
That's right? He is not a felon.
Now, if that is the fact, though, the other layer, if we go other layer to peel the onion, though, we'll find out that the mainstream media has a job to do. What is the job?
The job is to tell the truth and to tell even the inconvenient truth to we the people.
All right. Okay. All right. Good. All right. That's a good point. My dear fellow Angelinos, my dear fellow Americans, it is a good subject. However, it is hard to get into. As you can see, that it takes some efforts to get to the point where we are. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director, and I call him Fighter for Justice. We just want to make things right. At the East-West Show, we don't take partisanship, we don't take stand, we don't take position, no, nothing at all. We are telling the truth, only the truth, nothing but the truth, like we swear in court, right? So, by that, the subject for today is our mainstream media. So let's find out to what extent is our mainstream media, or has our mainstream media been telling truth? Stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my lovely audiences. Dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, welcome back to the discussion about mainstream media. The show today is entitled Our Mainstream Media. The purpose of show today is to find out to what extent has our mainstream media been telling truth, by percentage or by examples or by stories whatsoever, I don't care. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, director of Hollywood Monarchs. Remember the name Monarchs of Hollywood, and a big name with a credit like a monument, taller than himself. He is tall. I know he is tall. What's your height?
6'2".
6'2".
Yes, sir.
6'2". That's high enough. I'm only 5'2".
So?
Okay. Anyway, so So, sir, welcome back to the show.
谢谢你.
All right,
Thank
very
you.
good. All right. I know it's a big subject. That's why it is hard to get into, right? I would say we would better to get two examples, right? Okay, now, if you look back for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you will find out the societal attention been switching from one to another all the time. So, do you see that normal? Do you see that abnormal? Please.
No, because we are always looking for new excitement. But you see, dissent was the hallmark of investigative journalism. Mm-hmm. It is now being repressed and moves underground as liberal capitalism has become a form of corporate dictatorship for the press. Julian Assange has borne the brunt of much of this historic shift, because it wasn't used like this. This has been evolved gradually. And the sad fact is that this truth teller is incarcerated at the embassy of Ecuador. It's a humanitarian tragedy. Ecuador, a small Latin American nation, is the only country in the world that stood up for a journalist
that will provide a harbor for him.
Yeah, who did nothing other than telling the truth.
Okay. So, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with telling truth?
It has been wrong for a lot of people, and that's why he is over there.
The answer is
holed up in the embassy since years and cannot get out.
The answer is there are some truths that can be told. There are some truths that can't.
They're inconvenient truths.
All right, whatsoever
but
you want to call it.
But you see, the truth many times is inconvenient.
All right, no. I agree with the inconvenient truth, but there is dangerous truth. Remember last time when it was released, the email exchange information was released, there are still portion that was kept. And also go back then to Kennedy's assassination, right? It is over the years, it is released, and yet there is still a portion withheld, right?
Because what is being withheld is inconvenient to those people who are withholding it.
All right. And to the nation, they are the dangerous truth. If I could use a term of my own.
I don't
think
agree with me? Truth is always dangerous to somebody because the truth is always telling something about somebody, or something shows another side which we don't know.
Let me give you another example. Right? Okay, now, sometime year of 2016, during the summer, there is a huge talk about the email thing, of the email abuse, right? And the email using the nation's top secret system to handle personal problem. Right? That is only a method.
Whose emails?
Hillary Clinton.
I see. Okay, I think that was done in order to gain an upper hand in a very bitter challenge for the U.S. presidency.
However, what is the inside the email? What the emails are or were about, I mean the content of the email, once found out, nobody dared to touch. Once again, here is the part that they all come to the common ground. Okay, let's not do it, because it's too dangerous truth. Am I right? Okay. The mainstream media, if they have been truly a mainstream ethical media, they got to go into it and find out what's exactly in there.
Right.
Why can't it be told like that?
Because you see, it's inconvenient for the others who have use this scandal to punish somebody, but if they would tell the whole story, they would also be found guilty themselves.
You're right, you're right. Okay, let me give you another example. I agree. Now, you and I are fighting under this roof.
Right.
Because I want to kill you. You want to kill me. Okay, we are doing it on and on and on and on until to a point the whole roof is rocking, is falling on us, right? You and I both will agree to the point, let's stop the fight, let's get out of the door, let's go to the open ground for safety. Am I right?
Yes.
Is that a vivid example?
It is.
No, that is my way, being a responsible, ethical media, see how we see the problem.
You see, Julian Assange and his WikiLeaks have exposed so much disturbing truth that there is no doubt that they have done the most important disclosure journalism in our lifetime.
There is even secret, even Assange cannot touch, and dare not touch.
You know,
because it's about humanity.
But why have a secret? Look, all over the world, politicians who have been deceiving their people have been caught like deer in the headlights by the revelations of WikiLeaks. This is fine, because we the people, and we people should be able to judge what is right and wrong for ourselves. And that means we need to know the truth.
You know why am I taking easy to Assange?
Yes.
Whatever he does, I don't even care. I sleep the same sleep, I dream the same dream, I eat the same food every day, every single day, because I have nothing to hide.
So
that's why I feel very comfortable whoever Assange or Assange or whoever exposes to whoever, I don't care, because I have nothing for them to expose. I wish everybody is in a position like I am. That's why they will. That's exactly why they can feel comfortable. And on the contrary, the answer is that why they are not comfortable? Because, you know.
Because he told the truth.
Yeah, all right. The truth is inconvenient to
and
them.
the truth is inconvenient to those powers to be. It's very simple.
What is the cutic talk?
It always comes back to the same thing.
Okay.
The best way is to tell the truth. Because in the end, it always will be found out. And lying, there are white lies, convenient lies, which you can have in social engagements and so on. But things like what Julian Assange and WikiLeaks does or did is proof that the powers to be do not want we, the people, to know what really goes on. We, the people, are being brainwashed by the powers to be who have corrupted the mainstream media and created a tool to brainwash the people.
Well, I agree. By logic, there is always a limitation of how much we, the people, got to know.
I think we should know everything because
I don't think so. I don't think so, because it is always there. It is by pure theory. Well, you deserve, like you said, quote unquote, you deserve to know everything. In practice, there is always a portion that is kept away from we, the people.
So if that is the case, why does the Constitution clearly says and starts with we, the people?
You know why? You know why? Well, it's like a horizon. You know the term horizon, right? Okay.
Yes.
Where is horizon? You tell me, can you? Where is horizon?
Horizon is endless.
Endless. All right, good. In definition, horizon is somewhere you can see, clearly see, but you can never get there. That's horizon.
That's true.
All right, good. That's why we, the people, by Constitution, deserve the right to know everything is only a line at the current horizon. All right. Okay, now, my dear friends, let's take a short moment out. I'm getting a little excited when the term horizon is mentioned. Would my friend Chris Nebe, director of Hollywood, Monarchs Hollywood, with a reputation, with a monument higher, taller than himself, and he is a fighter of justice, I believe. I adore him much for the mindset. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we will find more in the issue, see what we, the people, can do. Stay with us, please. Hello, lovely friends, my dear audiences. You, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. As a fellow American of yours, I feel it is my job to keep constantly bringing information that is positive, that I believe necessary to you for a reference, so that we can better your life, we can better everybody by elevating ourselves. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, director of Hollywood, Monarchs Hollywood to be more precise, and he is known by lots of big film credit, and he is working on some new. I call him a fighter for justice because he, whenever discovers issue, shares with me, and we reach the agreement. Let's fight for it, right? Like something like that. Today is one of the issues talking about mainstream media doing their job and not doing their job to inform we, the people, right? We have a one understanding that by Constitution, we, the people, deserve to know all the information we want to know, right? That. Okay, now, so welcome back to the show, all right?
Thank you.
I know it is hard to accept, but it is a truth. The truth is that there is always a limitation that we, the people, how much we want to know or we can know. Do you agree with me? Now?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that the powers to be continuously misjudge we, the people. Mm-hmm. Because we, the people, they like we, the people, to be quiet and subservient and to continue to be exploited and be used for their purposes.
You're right, yeah.
To tell the truth, like Julian Assange did, has become a crime. And it is to commit professional suicide for investigative journalists today. That's why they all have moved underground. Luckily, there is the internet. But in addition, the undemocratic forces that control so much of the world and are the superstates of the internet, Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, etc., also try to enforce censorship and brainwash netizens. It's like a cabal of the powers to be, keep the people quiet.
Under the gazebo.
Keep them quiet, keep them happy, give them a new sensation every day, something new. Yesterday it was this, today it's that. It all has become a celebrity cult and a basic gentrifying of the media.
I know. I can't understand why you so strongly hold that fort, right? Yet there are some things we have to consider as being a responsible citizen. Okay, now, the fact is that in the nowadays world, with the international situation, with the conflicts here and there arise all the time, right, there are things that is up to national security level. Constitutionally, might not be right, but you have to do it. and then we do it. For that part, if we really want to keep it a secret for some time, I don't argue a lot. I don't argue a lot. For example, we just mentioned about the document released, the document about JFK's death, assassination, right? There was obsolete, supposed to be released, and yet a portion is still decided being withheld. Right? That is, according to you, says to national security matter or whatever concerns. If that really goes that way, though, by Constitution, you got some time to bear with some kind of a sacrifice as your power, your right of freedom. Do you agree or not?
No.
Okay.
I don't agree, because either disclose everything or disclose nothing. But don't hide behind that national security and this and that, because this is not valid. Let we the people decide what's wrong, right or wrong. Mm-hmm. The problem is, you see, that if you go back in history, those in power always have wanted to keep we the people subservient and obedient. And then they are very surprised when, after a certain period of time where this seems to go very well, there is a revolution. Take the French Revolution. When nobody expected it, the French rose and actually created a revolution which still today resonates, because they really took...
Things went south in a day or two.
Yes, but right away, after centuries of subservient people.
Well, with Ceausescu of Romania, things was from A to Z.
Right.
It took about 2 days or something.
Very good example. And there are endless others. And they repeat itself again and again and again and again. The powers to be try to keep we the people subservient and call them sheep. And yes, we the people in general prefer leadership. But you see, leadership apparently leads to abuse, because leaders lose their ability to realize or follow reality, because it seems to be a very if you have thousands of people hailing you and yelling your name, and it corrupts your mind.
I realize that we started with the subject of mainstream media. We slided to focus on government actions, right? To go back to mainstream media, in the whole process of this release, withhold thing, what do you think would be the media's job, the right job to do?
For example, to do what they used to do, investigative journalism to tell the truth. For example, the abolition of the net neutrality and the use of algorithm to divert readers and viewers from progressive websites, along with demonizing foreign agents, those journalists who expose the crimes of corporate capitalism and imperialism, have given the corporate state the power to destroy freedom of speech, or are about to destroy it, which, and freedom of speech has been the holy grail of the land of the free and home of the brave since its inception. But it's gradually and very smartly diluted.
It is not mainstream media who made it happen, made it that way. It
But
is
the
government.
mainstream media is the voice of those who are in power, because otherwise, how would you have information? You see, in the information age, the
Now
internet.
you seem to hit the nail on the head. Mainstream media, instead of being the power or the voice of we the people, becoming voices of the minority, and the minority that governs the country. Am I right?
Right. Of the powers to be. I mean, you know, that's a very another subject. You see, it's very interesting. The United Nations, it was a very, and has been a very noble effort of we the people to get together, and they have recognized that Julian Assange is being detained unlawfully. So, why don't they let him
He's
go?
in Ecuador. He's okay now.
No, he's not okay. He's sitting in a room and cannot go out.
House arrest?
House arrest imposed by others. He's just having shelter there, being sheltered by the diplomatic immunity of the embassy of Ecuador. And interesting enough, Ecuador is a small, insignificant country.
But
and
they
that
have lots
took
of
on all the other countries and said, this is wrong. We have to protect this man. My hat goes off to the country of Ecuador. And all those people who believe in this kind of thinking.
Okay. But they have lots of bananas anyway.
No, I don't know if they have bananas.
All right. I understand where you are from. I understand your heart, your set of mind, and it is a very kind of pathetic situation and pathetic story. But there is a limitation we, the people, can know. Even for that, even the WikiLeaks leak itself is leaking on a not a unmanaged way. It's on a controlled way, a planned way, step by step. That is exactly in consideration of the capability of handling as we the people. Right. I would say, my brother, that to do things right is one thing. Actually, in practice, how much can you do is the other.
You see, the powers to be, in collusion with the mainstream media, actually have a veiled contempt for the public. The cynicism about the people at the top, it's not about the people, it is about their cynicism is not about the people at the top. It is always about the people at the bottom. The people which, since you mentioned Hillary Clinton before, she dismissed these people as irredeemable. Irredeemable. So, that tells you everything.
All right.
So, how can we change it?
How?
By supporting those investigative journalists who still are doing their job and who are now going underground and can be found on progressive websites and published in not mainstream media outlets. But we have to look for it, you see, and that
there
is...
might be some investigation going on as we speak. Who knows, right? There might be something going on. We have achieved so far so good, that I agree. But there are attempts to cover it from we the people knowing it. That's the illful part. I agree with what you say, either 0% or 100%, right? You don't want to leave me halfway like the release of JFK's death.
You're talking about JFK, but you can also talk about the warnings of Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah.
Who very clearly said the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism are going to destroy our society. And look where it has gotten us. Mounting national debt, impoverished communities, opioid pandemic, homelessness, extreme poverty, racial unrest, police brutality, endless wars abroad, and an Anglo-Zionist lobby that, in collusion with the military-industrial complex, seems to control everything.
I agree with the great part of it. My dear friend, my dear audience, today with me is my brother Chris Nebe. We're brothers by the same mother, I guess, because we quite often find a common ground. And let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll put them together to see what they want to do, what we want to do. So stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Being ethical media, EDI and GNE TV, we choose to not go for partisanship. We never take stand. We never take positions. However, when things are about what's right and what's wrong, in black and white situations, we sometimes, especially me myself, might have a take. The take is not for the benefit of anybody. The take is for the benefit of you, my audiences. Because you and I, we all together belong to the group that we call we the people, right? But are we the people being treated correctly or fairly or rightly by our mainstream media? By the government, I know what the answer is. By the mainstream media, I need probably you to answer the question. Today with me, in talking about the mainstream media relationship between truth and we the people, it's a triangle, right? Here's the mainstream media, here's the truth, here's we the people. Amongst the three, how much each deserve, how much each want to do. I respect Mr. Chris Nebe a lot, and I like to cherish the friendship, and I typically adore his sensitiveness of those issues. If you would recall, 2 weeks ago, we did a show called the opioid pandemic. It is an epidemic situation about drug abuse of America by Americans. And that was the show he mentioned. There are 175 deaths each single day of United States. That number is equivalent to 7 deaths per hour, right? You know what? Funny, interestingly enough, Donald Trump, in his State of Union address, quoted exactly the same number, talking about the pandemic. So, but Mr. Chris Nebe went ahead about 2 weeks. Am I right? So that is the big credit you want to claim for it.
Thank you very much. I just want to make your show being viable to your audience, and therefore it is necessary to present relevant and truthful research.
Yeah, I believe that at least one thing for sure, if Donald Trump did not write the speech himself, though, his people and you guys went to the same route of information, right? Yeah. So that is more credible than you singly go in yourself, right? Now, one thing for sure that Donald Trump failed to mention the big farm. Remember in that issue, a greater part, about 90% of the time, we were talking about the great farm, the big pharmaceutical industry that
initiated the whole
is to be
thing.
blamed for the whole pandemic. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to say that again, please? That is a part Donald Trump has missed. And that is, once again, the part the mainstream media is not reflecting.
Yeah, but you see, it's always difficult to put blame on anybody. But it is true that the big pharma is partially responsible for what has happened with the opioid crisis. Of course, you can also blame we the people, because we the people also have weaknesses. And not everybody is a hero, and not everybody can withstand to be an addict. For example, you see, not everybody can stop smoking.
All right.
Some can do cold turkey, others can't.
Thank you for mentioning that.
So, you see, but all this is not really relevant, because what is relevant is that the whole information age has given us so much information and so much access to information that it now has become a battle for the truth.
Why would mainstream media and the President Donald Trump mention the part about the big pharmaceutical industry?
He mentioned it
who are making deals with distributors, who are in turn deal with doctors for kickbacks, right?
Yes.
For every medicine they prescribe.
Yeah, but this
Something
is
like
part
that.
of doing business. That's part of doing business.
No, if you sell shoes that way, I have no problem. All right. Okay. You are selling medicine.
Yes.
That I have problem with, because people die. The 175 lives are lives.
Yeah, but this is part of our world. You see, what is much more interesting is to find out who today.
And I'm sorry for that. And the second day, there's not even criticism, like I said, to question the fact that why would he mention the big farm, the distributor,
Big pharma, yeah.
the pill mill, call it,
Yes.
the pill mill,
Right.
the pill mill practice.
Right.
Why would not him criticize the pill mill?
Because it's inconvenient, because there are thousands of lobbyists in Washington lobbying for big pharma. But this is another project, because again, who owns the truth? Now the question is, who owns the truth? Who controls it? Who can sell their version of the truth, because it's always their version, to a polarized and brainwashed public that increasingly cannot agree on basic facts even. You see, because which goes all back to the speech. It's all enough with the lies,
manipulation,
enough with fast-talking, foul-mouthed, slick politicians, enough with brainwashing. But this is a vicious cycle. It goes on, and it is part of the opioid crisis. It's part of a brainwashing of the mainstream media, and is part of the military-industrial complex, and it goes on.
That's exactly indicate is the job for the president to point out, to be spearheaded to the problem, and he should mention could have mentioned something like, we got to stop the pill mill running.
He could have mentioned a lot of things, my friend.
He could have mentioned.
I don't want to go on the merits of that speech. I don't feel entitled to do so. Let him tell whatever he wants to tell to the world. Apparently, the majority of the Americans like the speech. Good for them, and good for him.
Okay. For time being, we're going to do that way, right?
Yeah.
But What do you want to we the people to do? We the people are kind of benighted. We're totally left in the dark, right, about what's going on. Okay. Now that you have media like ourselves, you have smaller media, you have media that like tell true stories. So, what do we want to tell people? What do we want to awaken our people, we the people, including ourselves?
The people will eventually, as history has shown again and again, will wake up. Mm-hmm. And the awakening will be very powerful. Mm-hmm. You have already voices here, like the voice of Bernie Sanders, which has a very powerful voice and addresses issues which are very relevant. So, the right time, there will be more voices, and there is always one person who ignites something.
He's been accused for being a socialist.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, we're in a capitalist country.
So, what's wrong with socialism? So,
okay, all right.
There are a lot of, in Europe, almost every country is socialist. Mm-hmm. China is a socialist country trying to go its way with Chinese socialism, with Chinese characteristics. Mm-hmm. We all try to find the right way. It's very difficult. And who says that, and I'm sure every system has its weaknesses and every system has its strengths. And I think nobody is perfectly happy, nothing is perfect, and everybody faces problems. But I think what we should do is just think about the wonderful words of Confucius, the golden rule. Don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. This is wonderful.
I'm so glad that you went to Confucius, right?
If we would all follow just this, don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you, we would be very, very happy and peaceful.
Good. A little bit of recall. All right, thank you for your conclusion. I like that. The golden rule is that do not do anything that you do not like to do to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a little side note. Remember a few years ago we had the Occupy movement.
Yes.
And then the 99 followed by 99.
Right.
And then followed by a Black Lives Matter, also matter thing. Goes on and on and on and on. Now we're talking about the sixth.
Yes.
Improper or whatever, misconduct whatsoever.
Yes.
I have a sense that you tend to be, the monarchs tend to be responsible media or ethical, trying to be. What's your comment? What would be your comment about why so many of the cases pop up now?
I'm sure.
This is a side note, okay?
Yeah.
Just to share with you.
Side note. It's a flavor of the month. All these issues are a flavor of the month, and they divert the attention of we the people to these things because it's kind of cool. I'm sure that the accusations at some of the men, I don't want to mention any names, are correct. But now, of course, every woman who has something comes out with things which have happened 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, and I ask myself, why did you wait until now, where it's so cool to be coming out, and it's safe to come out because now you are in the company of famous people who are accusing other famous people, so you're safe.
On the other hand,
there's a lot of opportunism there.
Exactly. On the other hand, it creates an environment that everybody is afraid of those wonderful ladies. Okay, I give you an example. This morning at 7-Eleven, I always do a coffee to myself on way to go, right? So there's a young lady next to me. She's fumbling into the creamers for something. and spilled the whole thing. The whole counter is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
I was next to her. I almost, the word got my lips already. Lady, can you please do it in a different way like that,
In a
right?
civilized way.
Yeah, in a civilized way. I thought more controlled way or managed way, something like that. All of a sudden, there came upon me a warning. What if she screams? He touched me. Oh my God. My life would have ended up right there. Do you think so?
It's not that extreme, but you're right.
It's her word against my word.
But it's getting into that direction, and you're right. You know, what interests me is that these claims are all made and they're all accepted.
And then it was one-way tilted.
Right.
And they all, their testimony always have the credit.
Right.
Right.
So that's wrong too.
So I backed up. I waited until she's gone. I started doing my coffee. That's it. I'm being smart. I'm taught smart.
Yes.
Right.
No,
right.
you are subservient.
Yeah.
You are subservient.
Servile.
In that case.
Being a servile to ladies, that's the way to go for men these days. All right. Anyway, subservient is the word for men to do to woman, or your woman, whoever is human woman whatsoever. I used to say something when I see somebody holding a nice baby, right? Good looking baby. I say, good looking baby, something like that. I would like to give a comment like that. Now, no word. Okay. All right. We're over time, way over time, but subject to cameraman and editor to do it the way you want, and we deserve it. We did it right. It is worth everybody's while. My dear audience, thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and to Chris Nebe, thank you for sharing.
Thank you
for your
You're welcome.
mindset.